Hello.
Hey, how you doing?
Hi.
Can you hear me okay?
Can you hear me?
Yes. Can you hear me?
I cannot hear you,
Oh, okay. Just 1 minute.
but it might be me.
Test 1 2 3 4 5 5 4 3 2 1. Can you hear me now?
Let's try this other way. Can you talk?
Okay. Can you hear me now?
Now I can hear you. I was,
Perfect.
and can you hear me well?
I can hear you. Yes.
And I know Tim is already in the house, so I would love to see where he is because I lost him. Give me 1 second.
I have some music playing in the van. Should I turn it off?
It doesn't bother me, so let's wait until other people say turn that off. You know, that kind of thing.
Okay. I even bought a selfie stick just for this occasion. So I'm going to put the selfie stick down and I'm going to grab my notes and I'll be right
Okay,
back.
you make
Okay.
yourself comfortable here early. We're just trying the equipment and getting ready for this. I am actually in a library, but that was my sunset a few days ago, so I'm sharing
Okay.
that.
Wow, that's
And
pretty.
oh, are you comfortable there?
Oh, I'm very comfortable. Actually,
Yes.
I'm sitting right beside my van here like this, so I might just turn so we
Yay.
can let me uh, let me move things
Listen,
around a
Tim,
little bit, okay?
you make yourself comfortable. I am going to start by saying hello to Tim. I
Okay.
don't know how you do it, Tim, but you are always there. Sometimes I wonder if you really have a wife. Um, Probably she's very happy you are not around her, but you are always there. And Sherry, I cannot tell you, my friend, how happy I am you're sharing this live chat today with us. Sherry is the best salmon fisher lady in the world. I
Oh,
mean, she is a pro. She wakes up at 4 a.m. to go get her salmon. And Tim says, I am retired and bored. Hey, Tim, we understand that language. I don't know if you can see the comments, Doug, because you're a little further away. Right. So Tim is saying hi to you.
hey Tim.
And Sherry, I loved the message you left in my last video. You really moved me. You are an example of what a great lady is. So I really, really love you, my friend. So let me check. This is the fun thing, Doug. We have been preparing for this live chat for a long time. I remember I sent you kind of an schematic of how we were going to manage this transmission today. And of
Mhm.
course, I lost it. So I have no idea where it is. We have been going back and forth with so many photos and so many things, and I lost the thing. Uh, Let me see what Tim says. You can click on the comment and it will show you. Yes, I did that, Tim. It's taking time for me to learn this new system, the StreamYard. So far, I'm very happy with how easy it is. But you know, you have to learn where everything is. And I am still trying to get used to. I got some photos that Doug sent me of his camper van. I don't know if I will be able to pull them up. They are somewhere here. But in any case, we're going to see his van too.
Well,
So
Adriana, if you can't pull them up, I actually did set the van up into camper mode.
nice.
Once we get talking about it, I've got a whole list of things that I've done to it, and I could pretty much demonstrate. And again, just like in your previous mail, if there's questions, stop me, and you can ask me a
Right.
question. Because
And I thought that was going to be the case, that maybe you wouldn't be able to see the comments. Um, so yes, every now and then we're going to stop to just talk with the people around us. And it's only 6 minutes to 11, so we're almost there.
okay,
Um, Tim
uh,
is helping me with the presentation, and he says there is a present button. You share it on a screen that way. Here it is. You know what? There is something very funny with my computer. You know, computers have a mind of their own these days. I remember the times when computers were really primitive and we had some control over them, but now that is not the case anymore. So, for some reason, my computer knows that I speak Spanish, and it shows me half of the features in English and the other half in Spanish. So sometimes it confuses me. But I do find the present. Let me see what I can find here. I'm going to try one, and then we are going to start our presentation. Give me one brief moment, please.
yeah, no problem. I'm not exactly sure whether I could use the other camera on my phone to face forward. So if I go
Oh,
for the tour, uh,
okay,
there's this there's this little thing called cam on here. I'm going to just try that for a second. I'll be right back.
okay.
Whoops. Nope, that didn't work.
And
Um,
I didn't
okay, you
find
know
the
what?
I didn't
Uh,
find the
uh,
photo I wanted to show anyway.
yeah, that's not really a big problem because I guess I'll just flip the thing around and walk and talk. So I would like to have had a monitor to see what I'm showing, but that's okay.
It's
If you guys
okay.
have trouble figuring out what I'm trying to look at, let me know.
Well, I do have a couple of photos you sent here that are very, very interesting to me, like the way you anchor your bed. I think that
Oh,
is
okay.
genius.
Hi.
So I will try to show that one on a screen, even though you can, of course, show us a little preview of that with your phone. Tim says about my
Did
comment,
I don't know, did I get you the picture of my critter lights?
I think so.
Okay, I have to give a shout out to Tim on that one. One of his videos, he was talking about critter lights, and because I had some spare LED lights and all that, I decided to put in critter lights on my van. Problem is during bright light you can't see them. So that's why I was wondering if you had
It's
the picture. It would
okay.
have been nice
It's
to be able to
okay.
show what it looks like.
I am thinking of uploading all your photos, all the photos I have for of your van. I am thinking of uploading them later so they stay on the video for everybody to
Okay.
see. And just so you know, because of my comment about my computer creeping up on me, Tim says Google is spying on you day and night, so don't
Night
talk.
and day. He's right.
And he tells you, Doug, turn your phone sideways to give more viewing screen. What about that? Those are the details. There you go, team. You are the best. I mean, it's amazing. This guy is amazing. Do you know,
Thank
I
you.
just watched his video at the Mexican border. I was scared he would go to the other side and stay there in Mexico instead of. I am very glad he's still with us.
Just a sec.
Yeah. So, since it is almost 11 a.m., I am going to say we can start officially this thing. And oh, we lost Doug. So let's wait a minute. You know, I am in the middle of the desert here in a library, and it is
Sorry about that.
raining. It is raining like buckets, and I am happy for the cacti and all the other plants because they're getting a little shower today. So look at the beautiful colors on the trees behind you, Doug.
I'll give you a better tour of that in a sec here. Let me just try and get this thing horizontally here. Give me a sec.
It's okay. It's okay. I mean, if it gives you,
There we go.
you
Is that
got it.
better?
Excellent. Perfect. Perfect.
Yeah, this is
So,
actually like day one of my selfie stick. I've never owned one of these things before, so I'm all fingers. Yeah, so here, let me just give you a real quick overview of what it looks like here in Canada. That's just one of the
beautiful.
trees in our yard, and I'm just going to give you another little quick tour of some of the other trees right there. And this is nothing compared to what it looks like in some of the more forested areas.
Of course, of course. And Tim, our director of programming today, he's letting us know that it is 11 a.m. So the trial and error stage is officially over. He says the colors are beautiful. And yes, this is the time of the year where everybody goes crazy, going around to enjoy the first leaves turning colors, right? That
That's
is
exactly right. Yeah.
amazing. So, well, let me tell you, today is a great day in many different ways. Uh, First of all, Doug, welcome officially. It
Thank
has
you.
been a pleasure having you in the team. You have been so consistent from day one with your comments, and every one of your comments has been highly appreciated. You know that. I have told you that many times. Just for the record, because this is going to be a video on YouTube and it's going to stay there, your handle is C as in cat, L as in Laura, driver,
Yep.
CL driver. Do you mind sharing with us why?
Sure. Well, CL is a aircraft designator that I used to fly for a living. And of course, driver. I was the pilot of that aircraft, and 1960 was my birth year. CL is actually short for Canadair Limited. They produced the Canadair regional jet and the Challenger series. And I've been involved with the Challenger series since the late 1980s. So I figured, what the hell, CL driver it is.
I like it. At some point, eventually in our history, one day you decided to tell me that your real name was Doug, and that is how we started connecting a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
And recently we had this conversation about your camper van conversion, and you were very, very graceful. You showed me everything. You sent me very great photos that, as I said, I'm going to add to this video at the end so people can have that documentation. And,
Mm-hmm.
and parallel to that, when I showed my video about my mistakes with my electrical, both of you, Tim and you, uh, gave me so many ideas, and we agreed to have another live chat, the three of us together in November about electrical. Just so both of you know, I know you know a lot because both of you are those giant brains that I don't know if it is the engineer background in you or what it is, but both of you talk about electrical like it is, I don't know, the simplest thing in the world. And it is not. It is extremely scary, at least for the ones who don't know anything. And I think it is, we will need, before we actually do the electrical thing, we will need to talk about the simpler concepts. Just so you know, we're tinklers, Tim says. We're tinklers.
Tinkerers.
No, he says tinklers.
Tinklers. Oh, even better.
So, just so both of you know, because I find this very funny, 3 days ago I learned the difference between watts and amp watts. I thought it was the same thing. And then I learned it is 12 times different. So we're going to talk about that, and we are going to try to digest those things for other dummies like me who have no idea what the difference is between an amp and an amp watt and a watt and voltages and all those things that are so easy for you. So I have a first question for you, since today we're going to talk about your camper. Um, why did you decide to own a camper van?
Well, actually, I needed a vehicle. I had a car that basically rusted out after about 22 years of service, and so I needed a daily transport. I also wanted something that could haul a lot of cargo. And of course, I enjoy camping, and I thought, well, you know what? I've been watching YouTube and all the different van conversions. So I decided, get a camper van and convert it myself. So far as camper vans are concerned, especially minivans, I think, me personally, I think they're the best bang for the buck because the cost of ownership, first of all, is a lot lower. You've got a tremendous amount of volume in one of these things, and I'm talking like, your Dodge Caravan, for example, or Siennas or anything like that. You could put a huge amount of stuff in there. They're great on gas, economy wise. You can park them anywhere. They're highly maneuverable. They drive like cars. Maintenance, you can get them maintained everywhere. I mean, just think about going for an oil change in one of those huge Class A motorhomes. Well, good luck with that one. Your caravan, it's a car basically with a big frame on it. You drive into an oil change place, it's done. And also parts availability and people to work on them. I mean, Chrysler had invented the Dodge Caravan back in the 1980s. They were the original minivan people, and it's been going for so long. So you got a good product right there. And the fact that you can convert it, put stuff in it. I mean, lay across in it, lay sideways in it. You throw a whole whack of stuff back in there. As far as I'm concerned, they're one of the best kept secrets when it comes to RVing and camping and even living out of them. So they're fantastic.
Now, Sherry asks you if you do have a minivan or a full size van. What van do you have?
Wow. That's a highly individual preference. As we'll see in the van tour here, I chose a mini cargo van, a Dodge, or should I say a Ram ProMaster City, but that's just me. anybody who, well, depending upon really how much space you really do need. I mean, if you're traveling with two people, or if you've got a rather large pet or something like that, yeah, you may want to have something a wee bit bigger. I mean, but if you're solo and you're very much a minimalist, yeah, you know what? Even a full size van, yeah, do you really need it? Again, personal preference. I mean, one of these things you can't really stand up in, whereas a full size van, the higher top ones you can. I mean, that's that you're actually now getting it to that
But
zone where it's like it's your home sort of thing, or whatever you want, or the comfort factor that you want.
but you cannot go through some drive-throughs.
Right.
So it all
Exactly
depends on
right.
how many times a week you go through a Starbucks or a McDonald's. So
Yeah. Well, or even these underground shopping mall
true.
or shopping plaza parking sort of thing. They're actually lower limited so far as
Mhm.
height is concerned. In a van like yours or the ProMaster City, it's just not an issue. So
How much does it bother you not being able to stand up?
not at all. Mind you, I don't live in the van. I live out of the van if I do.
True.
Um, I mean, I can crouch if I have to put my pants on. I'll crouch or just lie in the bed and just haul them up, sort of idea. That's not a big deal. No, it doesn't really bother me. Even and then, as you see, when I take a look and show you what the tarp looks like and all that sort of thing, when you're in something that small, chances are very likely you're going to be using it mostly to sleep, maybe to eat, take your bath, shower, whatever, go to the toilet if you absolutely have to. And that would probably be, I guess, the downside of not having something you could actually stand up in. But um, if you're okay with that, I don't see any reason why you would want to have anything a whole lot taller. Plus, the other thing is this thing could fit into my garage behind me, sort of thing, if I wanted to. Now, there's lots of other stuff in my garage. I won't get into that now, but if I really wanted it in there, I can. Whereas if it's a high top, well, too bad. Yeah, so sad.
Yeah,
Also, those
totally.
really big, tall things, they're a little bit of an eyesore when you're living in a neighborhood, sort of thing.
And
So,
also, when it's very windy and you're driving on the road,
yeah,
it will be a little bit more difficult to control one of those higher ones.
absolutely. Back in July, I think my wife and I
Mhm.
rented a Class C just to see if we really liked one of these things. I'm trying to get her into camping as well. And it was a little bit windy going out towards the campsite. And of course, the Class C is doing a little bit of this on the highway. It would
Mhm.
not have been an issue in my ProMaster, not at all. I mean, it's a higher car, and that really does make a huge difference.
Exactly.
But you're absolutely right about bigger, taller vehicles like
Mhm.
vans, motorhomes, etc. They are much more susceptible to wind for sure.
During my choice process, I considered the switchbacks on some mountain roads. And even if it is a minivan and I cannot fit it in, it's not a 4x4, I cannot fit it on some roads, but there are
Hmm.
many, many, many highways with huge turns, I mean, very
Yep.
close turns. And I didn't want to suffer the stress of driving anything bigger than
Hmm.
a minivan, which also applies to the one you have. Tim says, and this is very important, Tim says, more space, more junk. And
Yeah, true.
this is, I actually have more stuff than I need. Minivan is the best, well kept secret for camping, like Doug says. And I
Yep.
agree. And also, for if you, it happens to me sometimes that I am driving several hours, I get to a town, and I don't want to, adventure into a boondocking space or something because it is already dark, so I cannot see the quality of the terrain. Sometimes the ground is very soft, you can get stuck there or something. So I just stay in the town and I just park somewhere. in between other cars,
Hmm.
and nobody pays attention to a minivan. Nobody
Yep.
will think that there is a person sleeping in there.
Hmm.
And that gives us that stealth factor that is so, so useful.
Hmm. True. Very true.
So, are you ready to show us the outside of your baby? Does it have a name?
No, not really. I guess I should give it something. I haven't thought about it.
You have to smash the champagne bottle and all those things, you know?
Well, this thing's not made out of thick gauge steel. I'm not sure what I'd be doing to it. I might smash the bottle, or I might dent the fender. I don't have no idea.
This is great.
Anyway, what I'm going to do is I'm going to be bringing some notes with me because I did take a few things. So we'll start off with the outside if that's okay with you, and then well, not that there's a lot to see on the inside, but I'll show you that as well. Okay, so I'm going to grab my selfie stick here, my brand new out of Amazon selfie stick, and we'll start with the outside.
Okay,
Okay,
you
so
will be the master. You take it.
okay, hang on a second here. Okay, so I'm going to turn us around here, and this is basically what it looks like. Did you see the whole van yet?
No, I cannot see the whole van from here. Oh, there, a little lower, almost there, a little to your right, I guess. A little
Like
higher,
that?
a little higher. There you go. Uh,
Okay,
well, Sherry, as you see, it is not. I think maybe it is not as long as a minivan, but it's not certainly one of the high ones.
oh,
Uh,
that's for
it
sure.
is very stealth. Oh, Doug, just so you know, Tim says you have to give it a name. His is Blue Dragon.
Blue Dragon, I like that.
I know,
Okay, well, I'll
maybe
tell you
a
what.
small
How about
minivan, but they can dream.
how about all of you that are listening right now? Give me some suggestions, and once this thing goes onto YouTube, I'll pick one.
We are going to have a poll. Absolutely
Okay.
great idea. Yes.
All right. So basically, what you're looking at is the overview right now of the van. On the exterior part of it, the first thing you can see is that blue awning, and basically, it's just an awning, tent poles, and the guy wires and whatnot. Um, my objective was to try and keep this thing as reasonably priced as possible. I mean,
Mhm.
as you can see in the background, there's a sticks and bricks house. I got a kid in college. I'm retired, and I'm also supporting a 48-year flying addiction. So there's not much power, not much.
A flying addiction.
There's really not much money left over for a
Yeah.
van. But anyway, here it is. How this thing's actually put together, I don't know if you could actually see, but I'm going to bring it very, very close to the roof, and I'm going to point it down. And what you're looking at there are L tracks. A lot of people who actually work in the transport industry and know what an L track is. But what I did was I cut, drilled, and put in the L tracks on the roof, and then those little loops or rings there actually attached to it. So it attaches like in minutes at the very most, and it works out really well. And when you
So,
take the
Doug, what is an L truck?
an L track, well, I'm going to show you. I'm just going to go inside here,
Okay.
and I don't know. Do you see this?
Yes.
Okay, well, that's known as an L track. It's called a
Mhm.
logistics track. And I'll tell you how this works inside in here in just a minute. Anyway, I had a couple of spare pieces of L track that I actually put onto the roof of the van so that I could actually attach my awnings with. So I'm going to do a quick walk around to the front and the side of this thing.
Okay.
This thing is a very standard ProMaster City. It's a 2015 ProMaster City. I bought it, let's see, 80,000 kilometers. That would be about 50,000 miles, 2015. There's not much that I've done differently to the outside of this thing. This little guy right here is a plug-in for something that we call a block heater. That actually keeps the engine warm in the winter time, so it starts a lot easier. That thing
Right.
is also going to be eventually attached to some AC, shore power AC, if you wanted to call it. I call it external power, but it's shore power AC. Um, the very, very top, I don't know if you could see that fan, the vent line fan.
Yes.
Okay, that was the only thing that I cut to put that thing in. I really, really wanted to have ventilation in the van. I thought ventilation is really extremely important to keep airflow going through there. So we'll talk a little bit about that when I get into the van. Another thing I did to the van was I actually installed that bumper hitch. It's a bolt-on hitch. And well, thanks to Professors Google and Professor YouTube, I found out how to do that. So I just ordered the parts, put it in there. I also put the electricals for like the trailer lights and all that sort of thing. Right now I'm demonstrating that I have this bicycle rack. And basically it was a bicycle rack that we bought when my kids were young. And of course we'd take them camping, well, not camping, but for bike rides. And so it fits in there very, very nicely. And the nice thing about this bike rack is that if I need to, just a sec here, I could actually access the back by swinging this thing out.
Oh, nice.
So if I need to get into the back of the van, it's pretty easy to do. There we go. So just to give you an idea.
That is very nice. The double door in back.
Yeah.
That is
so
nice.
With the bike rack like that, I could very easily open it up to access the back of the van itself. And that's really the majority of the outside. Otherwise, once this thing is down, and it only takes about maybe 10 minutes, 15 minutes to pack up most of this stuff and throw it in. And from there, that's, you know, it's just a regular cargo van. That takes care of the outside. So really nothing very different about it. Well, I think everybody knows what this is.
Yes,
it's a sunshade.
Yeah.
Yeah, Reflectix. The only difference that I made with the Reflectix is that when I cut it to size inside the window, I put a little bit more of a lip on there that actually fits in between, like this.
Yep.
So you just sort of put it in place, and it's actually the tape that holds everything in place very nicely. So it just makes it a little bit bigger, so it fits into the slot all the way around. It doesn't move. So and that's basically how that.
And you know what, Doug? They shrink. Mine shrunk, so I will have to add some more material. Sherry is saying that she loves your ProMaster. She was about to buy one of those, but the Dodge was cheaper. And yes, sometimes we have to adapt to those conditions of the market. So, yeah.
Yeah. Well, you know, I'm assuming that Sherry bought a Dodge Caravan. Is that it?
She has two of them. She has a 2000 and a 2019. So the older cargo van that doesn't have seats, but the two in front.
Oh, okay, I got it. Yeah, they're a really good van as well. The only reason why I bought the ProMaster was because I wanted something pretty small yet be able to carry a lot of cargo in there, and I'll show you that in a minute. Right now, I'm in the front end of the ProMaster. I'm going to flip the camera around because, well, there's not really a lot to see here, but I did make some of the modifications. So over here, I don't know if you could see this, but it's basically a USB, but I cut the hole out. I passed wires through, and this particular USB only works during the keyed ignition. So in order to do that, I actually had to put in a separate fuse panel that only works with the key. So it won't actually drain the vehicle battery. Over here is an antenna for the GPS.
Wow.
I have a GPS. And that too works off that same fuse panel. So it only actually provides power when the key is on
Yes,
for that
perfect.
sort of thing.
Yep, yep.
And over here, you could probably see the dash cam. And
Yes.
the dash cam, I actually, that was a clearance sale item at our local Canadian Tire Hardware. It was going for, see, 28 Canadian. That's about $23 US. I mean, it was a steal.
Whoa,
And that
that's a
too is
steal.
also on the fuse. Now, in order to get these guys going, I actually had to buy these 12 volt to 5 volt converters
Uh-huh.
in order to make it happen that way. And they're all sort of like tucked into the behind the dashboard. I actually had to pull some of that stuff out in order to be able to get the wiring through there.
Yeah.
So that was something. In the steering wheel, just between here and the steering wheel, is something called the scan gauge. What's really kind of neat about that little system is that not only is it going to tell you if there's something wrong, because it works off of the onboard computer of the engine, and that's where you get those codes for faults and whatnot. But it also taps into the car's computer, tells you how fast you're going, how much fuel you're going, how many miles per gallon, the cost per mile, all that sort of stuff. So that's really kind of a handy little thing to have as well. So
Well,
I'm pretty
Guy,
happy.
let me
Sorry?
tell you, you may be very happy about your little devices you're connecting there, but you're making Tim and Sherry go crazy about them. Sherry says, I wish I knew more about hooking up wiring in my van. So I can see that you're planting that seed in her head. I am afraid we are going to have a crazy situation with Sherry in the future. And Tim says, look, Doug is my brother from another mother.
Peace, brother.
I love
uh,
you both, guys. I know we are going to have so much fun in November when both of you start discussing against each other why yes or why no, some electrical modifications. I am already enjoying that.
and there was another video that Tim just put out with the inverter that he actually pulled a wire through.
Yes.
And you could tell that we're almost twins here. Tim, this is specifically for you, but check this baby out, buddy. Look at this. All
Oh, no,
that
no, no,
wire
no, no.
going right off of
That
the
is for next
fuse,
video. That is for
down
next
through
video.
here, underneath, in through the firewall and everything. How
That
about
is
that,
not
Tim?
fair. That is not fair. You're letting him know your secrets. No, we have
Oh,
to
that's
do
no
private.
secret. I'm happy to share.
No, but what
So
I say
anyway, that
is, I was very happy that you both accepted to do the electrical video in November because you two, I admire both of you and your intelligence. You're amazing.
it's fun.
So we will have fun with that. So what else? What
Yeah.
else?
Okay. So let me. Okay. You know what? I'm at the back of the van right now. So let's start with the back over here.
Okay.
So can you see this okay, or is it too dark?
No, no, I can see well. I think we
Okay,
all see
perfect.
it well. What
All
I
right.
can
So
see is you have a shiny ceiling, and I know
yeah.
you.
And before we get to the ceiling, I have this
Okay.
here,
Oh,
basically Amazon sliding door screen. This has got magnets on both sides, so you don't actually pull it apart like curtains. And because it's magnetic, I can throw it over on the top of the roof. It isn't going anywhere. It's stuck up there
perfect,
right now, which is kind of cool.
perfect.
So this is the inside, the back end of the van. I'm going to start off with the floor. The floor's got extruded polystyrene insulation about 1 inch underneath there and 3/4 of an inch of plywood. And for the top layer here, I was going through Home Depot one day and I found these vinyl interlocking floor panels. They're
Hmm.
tough as nails, and there was just one box for this whole thing, and it was on sale. I mean, I couldn't resist it. So the floor has got the capacity to be able to take the full capacity of cargo, which is 1,000 pounds. This thing is rated to
Hmm.
carry 1,000 pounds of cargo. And with that floor, the plywood floor, the slats, the insulation, and everything like that, it can still withstand over 1,000 pounds worth of cargo back there if I need it.
And let me
Um,
point something out that is not that obvious. For everybody thinking of having a floor, a rigid floor like yours in their vans, just know that this particular van Doug has, it has the advantage of having an extremely flat floor.
yeah,
So that is not the case with minivans that
correct.
have a slope and brackets and all sorts of things in between.
Yeah, exactly. I should have mentioned that because, yeah, most minivans, they've got, well, one of the advantages of having a minivan is that because it's also a passenger van, you've got footwells all around there. So although you don't have a flat surface in there, you've got plenty of opportunity for storage in there, that kind of thing. And nothing stops you from actually putting in like a plywood, a sheet, or anything like that to make it flat, provided you could still use some access for it. So
Absolutely, of
there
course.
are advantages to both vans. I mean, it was very, very easy to construct this because you're right, it was a flat floor. But you know, a typical, say, Ram, or should I say, Dodge Caravan,
Mhm.
man, the kind of storage you have in those footwells is just amazing.
I know.
So
I
yeah,
know.
for sure.
I'm about to change my configuration to take advantage of that. So that is coming. Let me, now that we are seeing your face, let me tell you what Sherry just said about you. She says you're cute. I
Well, I've been
wanted to
called lots
see,
of things, but not so often cute.
I wanted to see if you would blush a little bit. Just that.
I'm blushing on the inside, if not on the outside.
Aww, that is so sweet.
Okay, on with the show.
So,
Now
yes,
that we got that
let's
out.
keep going with the band.
Okay, so yeah, you were talking a little bit about the ceiling.
Yes.
I actually did spend a little bit of money on this ceiling. Basically, what you're looking at here is the ceiling of my ProMaster. It's actually made out of these are cedar slats.
Mhm.
Underneath there is a small, very very light 1/4 inch plywood, and above that I have 2 inches of extruded polystyrene
Nice.
insulation. I
Nice.
mean, I've been in this van like when it was close to freezing with nothing but a flower pot candle for heat, and it makes
Mhm.
a huge difference. And even in the summertime, when the sun's beating down on this, you know, you put your hand on the ceiling and like it's
Mhm.
cool. It's really really cool. So I'm pretty happy with it. The reason for the color, I already had this stained color from a previous project, so the stain itself cost me zero. the the lacquer cost me zero. It was basically, but the biggest expense in the van so far was just getting those cedar slats, and they were the single expense, so they were about $100 worth altogether. What I did here was I did this. I made it look like this with this Japanese procedure called shasugiban, which is
Oh.
basically the art of preserving wood by burning it. So
Oh.
I ended up getting a the propane torch, and I actually burnt the top layer of the wood, then scraped and sanded it down, and then applied the
The stain.
stain to it, which is why now it's not really that easy to see because, well, the lights are. You know what? Hang on a second. Let me just turn in some lights on in here. Maybe
Oh
it'll
no,
show it a little better.
we can see perfect.
Oh,
Yeah, Tim, he's your frugal brother. I am thinking you two, I mean, it's the coincidence is amazing. Tim, I know you will agree with me. He said the key word here. Everything he put in the ceiling is lightweight, and that is
yeah,
important.
yeah, he's right. One of the things that I did to make sure that nothing falls apart is you could see a series of all these screws in here. I don't know if you
Mhm.
can see them that well,
Yes.
but they are attached to the cross members of the roof. and I did not use metal screws in there. I used something called riv nuts. So I actually
Mm,
drilled into the cross members, and these things are actually screwed in, and they're actually in 3 sections. So if I had to pull the roof down, I have to undo about like 40 screws, and the roof comes right
mhm.
down. But each of these screws are stainless steel, and they're just not going to break. I mean,
Perfect.
there's like tens of thousands of pounds of force that these screws could take in here.
Wow.
I mean, I kind of made the calculation for that to make sure that the roof wasn't going to come falling down on me for any reason. So anyway, that's part of it. Um,
I
I've been
love the
looking.
concept of burning the wood to preserve it. Thank you for sharing
Yeah,
that because I had never heard of
yeah,
that before.
yeah. I'm looking at the camera and I'm just not getting the same kind of tone that I have that I'm looking right now. But anyways, it's pretty close. Um,
We see a bluish, and
yeah,
Sherry likes it, so we're good.
yeah. That's anyways. It's there's a ton of insulation up there. I mean, um, 2 inches of polystyrene is an R value. If anybody knows anything about insulation, it's an R value of 10 plus the wood and everything else. So there's a tremendous amount of insulation. Now, I haven't done much to the walls yet, as you can see, because I'm still trying to
Mhm,
figure out how I'm going to treat the inside here. Here in our neck of the woods, we do rust proofing to keep our cars from rusting out. And
mhm.
they also do the inside of those walls. And I identified a possible fire hazard there if I ended up stuffing in wool or anything like that, because the oil would get absorbed and it could be a fire hazard. So I'm still trying to figure out how I'm going to insulate the walls, but nothing critical really just yet. So we'll figure that
Yeah.
one out eventually. Um, Over here, the fan, you might be able to recognize this from other YouTube videos, but this is a vent line fan. The thing takes like next to nothing so far as uh, amperage is concerned. Um, in fact, I'm going to turn it on. Basically, it's all manual. Now, I don't need to have
Mhm.
those, those remotes. I mean, floor to ceiling, it's just a little over 4 feet. It's impossible not to be able to reach it. So you can probably hear it going full tilt right now.
Mhm.
You just hear that. Okay. Well, I'm going to tell you exactly how much power it's taking right now. I don't know if you can see this guy.
Yes.
That's my battery monitor. That's like 2.3, actually, just to be absolutely certain, 2.3 amps is what it takes. And that's going absolutely full tilt boogie right there. That fan has got enough power to be able to replace all the air in this van in under a minute. 100
Whoa.
cubic feet of air. Yeah, 100 cubic feet is basically what it can do. So it really, really takes very, very little. Now, I turned it down, and the reason why I could turn it down is because, well, I'm a little bit of an electrical nerd, as you probably realize, but um, right here is a little box. Let me just, and inside that box is a speed controller.
Okay.
All right. Now, when I can, and it's got a little switch here or a little knob that increases and decreases how much air goes through. Now, I've got
Wow.
it right now where it's got just enough to circulate a little bit of air when you sleep, right? You don't have to have it full blast when you're going. Well, take a look and see what my monitor says right now. It says 0.12 amps. That's like really nothing.
Wow.
Okay.
That's cool.
So that there fan takes next to nothing in order to circulate it. And of course, if it's really, really warm, I have a USB fan right here that'll actually recirculate
Yes. Yes.
some of
Fans,
the air.
we have to have fans in the vans. Yes, indeed.
Yeah, and this little USB fan is great for circulating the air. This guy exhausts the air, and up front, I don't know if you noticed, but I have rain guards on the front windows,
Yes.
on the side windows.
Yes.
I keep them
Excellent.
cracked open a little bit
Yeah.
to get the air to come in,
Perfect.
and that
Yep.
controls the temperature, controls the humidity very, very nicely.
I do
So
have rain guards too, and I
they're
love
great.
them. I love
Yeah,
them.
they're
Yeah.
really great. Okay, so onwards to the what powers all this good stuff. Um, this box that you see here is actually my power box, if you will.
Yep.
First of all, it's actually made out of the spare material that I used for the floor. I mean, you can see the plywood, you can see the matching vinyl, so it's the same thing. What's nice about this too is that it's rock solid in here because it's attached to the logistics track.
And
So it's actually bolted.
excuse me, forgive me for stopping you there,
Mhm.
because before you go into the description of the box, which you showed me already and I liked a lot, I really want you, since we came up from the floor up to the box and the bed and all those things, please give me a little bit more detail about those tracks, because
Oh yeah,
that is
sure.
the genius
Oh,
thing in your
not really.
van. Oh, it is.
Okay, so this is particular to cargo vans, especially the ProMaster City.
Mhm.
As you mentioned, the floor is very flat, and there are actually attach points on the floor that come standard on the van. Like there's 6 attach points, and they normally they've got these little rings that are attached to them. Well, what I did was I took 4 of those 6 attach points and I
Mhm.
laid these rails down on them called L tracks. So I'm going to just show you right where the first
Yes.
attach point is, right down here. Can you see that?
Yes.
Okay. And if I climb in here, the other attach point is right here. And of course, my sandals and all the other
And
stuff that
your
I threw in the back
Crocs,
here.
of course. Hi,
See, they all come
Terry.
down.
Terry is in the house. Thank you so much, Terry. I really appreciate you. Thank you very much for being here. You're not late. You're just a diva sort of thing. So sorry
Yeah. So,
that.
anyways, so basically that's how the L tracks work. And here's another example because I ended up putting an L track right here. Can you see this thing right here?
Yes.
Okay, that's also an L track, and I just attached it there mostly because I could attach the rings. And how these rings work is you actually open them up and close them like that. So they come
Oh,
right out, and you could attach exactly where you want to put things in. So every inch or so, I could adjust back and forth. So if I
nice.
do the same thing with this guy, I could actually move him over here or there or anywhere else, sort of idea with these L tracks. And
Brilliant.
for logistics, yeah, they use them in the trucking industry and especially in the airline industry. How many of you guys ended up getting your basic economy where you have absolutely no leg room? Well, that's because of L tracks.
Brilliant. Brilliant.
Yeah, because they can move the
Uh,
seats back and forth wherever they want.
but so you have your electric box anchored in the
Yeah.
place where you want it. And it
Hmm.
doesn't matter whether you're going uphill or downhill, you brake, the box stays there. And you showed me that the bed is also anchored the
Yep.
same way. I think it is just genius.
Yeah, let's see if I can. Okay, can
There
you
you
see this
go.
turnbuckle here?
Hmm.
Well, it's attached to my bed frame, and on the bed frame on the bottom, it's attached to the L track. Can you see
What
that?
about that, Tim?
Yeah, so it's actually attached in 3 places. That's the first one. There's a middle one and the one right at the very head of the bed. So essentially, if the worst case scenario happens and I roll the van, the bed's not going to move, the battery's not going to move. It's just it's on there. The bolts that I showed you, they shear at 45,000 pounds per square inch. I mean, you got to get hit by a train before it breaks.
Well, please don't try any of those scenarios. We take your word for that. I understand the box is it's going to stay in place and the bed is going to stay in place.
Yeah,
Don't try those scenarios, okay?
don't try those at home. Okay.
No.
Yeah.
Try not
So,
to flip
anyways, that's
over.
sorry.
So, no, I was saying try not to flip over, please. Okay?
I'll try not to.
Thank you.
Okay.
So,
So, anyways,
what that
yeah, go
is
ahead.
your electric box. Don't show what you have in there because I don't want them to see it.
Okay, fine.
But show us what it looks outside, because you can use it as a desk. You can use it to put things on top. It could be your
Oh yeah.
nightstand. But
Oh,
you
absolutely.
also have USB ports there, don't you?
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. Well, okay. So we'll not show the inside. That's fine. But I will show you the
Just
outside
because
because
I
Tim
am
will
a
be
mean
especially
person, you
interested in
know
this.
me. You know me. I am a mean person.
Okay. So the outside part of this thing has this 1,000-watt inverter, and it takes its power from the battery that's in here.
Uh-huh.
And the battery in here also has its own charger that's charged up through this cable that came through the front that I showed you a little bit earlier.
Wow.
Uh, I
Okay,
was
you
able
can
to
show it. You
wire,
can show it. Open the thing. Open the thing.
okay, I will in a minute, but basically these cables I actually ran through from the front all the way to the back, basically under the floor, all through here. So you see no cables whatsoever going back to front in the van. That was a little bit in itself, but I ended up using what they call these fiberglass rods that electricians use to feed wire behind walls. And that's
Oh,
how I got the wires from the front to the back. And so, although there's this rather large cable that charges the battery and the charger back here, you don't
yep.
see any of it anywhere.
Beautiful. And
Yeah,
once you
and the other
figure
thing that I
out
did
how to
was
insulate the walls, that is going to disappear.
I really protected the cables that go through
Hmm.
there very well because behind the walls there's a lot of sharp edges and you don't want to cut the insulation. So I actually put this plastic stuff, this plastic split
Yeah.
casing on it, and then I wrapped it in tape, so it's like triple protected going through there. Okay, so now the pièce de résistance for Tim. Da, 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 da. Ooh. Okay, so let's go through with what's in here.
Well, don't
The
give too much of a description, because remember, we are going to have one specific video about the details of that.
Oh, absolutely. So a very quick overview.
Hmm.
The battery itself is an AGM battery. It's a marine deep cycle battery, so it's a pretty good quality. It's very heavy. It's not quite like lithium is, but price for, basically on a price point, it's pretty good. This is the charger that I was telling about. It's a Renogy charger, 20 amp charger. This is basically what keeps this battery charged all the time. And this takes power from the front end, the alternator of the battery. And of course, it's charged, it gets its power from the wire coming through here and then basically ends up charging the system.
Yep.
The only high draw is the inverter. So I
Hmm.
could turn that on so you can see how it looks, sort of idea. But it's being charged from this battery, not from the van's battery. So
Not
it's
from the
putting out
engine.
12 volts right now. It's
Mhm.
going to tell you how many amps, and it's putting out 120 AC, and 0 amps is what it's going to show because it's not drawing anything right now. But it
Right.
also has a USB charger plus 2 outlets. Um,
Perfect.
this is a lifesaver right here. Highly recommend it. I've had this system going now for, oh God, uh, over a year now. I have never had to worry about the battery charge ever. I mean, like never.
And you feed all those batteries from your engine.
Yeah, well, it's only one battery, and it gets fed by the engine's alternator, and that's
Yeah.
basically
So when
what's
you're
powered
driving,
this
the
guy.
whole thing charges up. You don't
Yeah,
need solar.
yeah. I don't really need solar. Now you could actually see it's showing 98.9%, and the only
Hmm.
reason why it's not at 100% right now is because I spent the whole morning charging my JBL speakers, my phone,
There
my
you go.
iPad, my earbuds, and all that stuff. And I drove back from the gliding club last night, and when I came back, it was like 100%. I have
Doug,
never had to worry about the charger ever.
beautiful.
Um,
Doug, Sherry says you're a very smart man, and she loves your setup. Terry says Doug must be an engineer.
no, I'm not.
Incredible build. Thanks for joining, Doug.
Oh, yeah, you
And
know what? I'm not an engineer. I just want to make this clear. I'm not an engineer. I'm a pilot by trade. I've been retired now for about 8 months. I've always had an interest in this sort of thing. part of my job with an aircraft manufacturer before I went to the airlines for my last few years of the career, I was a test pilot on the jet aircraft that I was telling you about.
Mhm.
And one good thing about that whole thing was that you're always dealing with engineers and all kinds of people like that. And they taught me a tremendous amount about safety, about the certification requirements for aircraft and all that
So
sort of thing. So I
nice.
took a lot
So
of that to
nice.
heart and said, okay, safety comes first. The last thing you want to see is, you see sometimes on YouTube and on the news that you see some of these RVs that are like up in smoke, literally up in flames. And often enough, it's either because of gas leaks or electrical fires. And I thought, number one, I'm not carrying gas. Number two, it ain't going to happen on my watch as far as electrical fires. So that's
We
kind of the
we
way I looked at it.
appreciate we appreciate responsible people like you. So
Anyway,
we are approaching the hour. It's okay. We
wow.
can keep going, but I
If
would
you're okay
like
with it,
you.
I'll gladly
Yeah,
talk to you
no,
as
I
long as
would
you
like
want.
you to show us the bed because I want you to take us to your
Okay.
bed.
Oh boy,
Oh, boy.
haven't had an offer like that in decades. I got to tell you.
Well, I would like to talk with your wife.
Okay, let me just clear up all the stuff that I threw on there so I could show you. But yeah, basically the bed frame itself, I built this out of like repurposed lumber. It was actually one of these loft beds my kid had when he was really young, and it had the slats and everything on it. Really nice bed, but he outgrew it. And,
Mhm.
and and I hate getting rid of perfectly good wood or any perfectly good material.
Tell
So
Tim
I got to
that.
work on it, and I just cut it up and did the thing. Okay, so I'm just going to lift the mattress up here so you can see a little better. But basically, this
Yeah.
is what it looks like.
So
See
you
if we could do this.
slide the
And
slats to the
yeah,
side,
and they
and
open
you
up
make
like
it a
that to a
full
double
bed.
bed.
A
I mean, I'm
double
not
bed.
going the full way because,
No, no, no. Yeah, yeah.
but you get the general gist of the idea. And
So
that's
usually,
basically,
usually a full-size bed is 54 inches wide and 75 inches long. Is that more or less what you recall yours is?
yeah, it's pretty close to that.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a little bit narrower. You know what? I just got a low power on my battery. I'm going to just plug it into my charger here so we can continue talking. Give me a sec here.
Okay, okay, okay. I am going to write here in comments 54 inches by 75 inches because Tim was asking for the size of a full-size bed. If it is, when it is closed, it should be 39 inches by 75,
There we
somehow
go.
around there.
Okay, I think we're good. Basically,
Mhm.
I'm just going to turn the phone around so you can see what I did. I had one of my charging cables. I plugged my phone into that, so we're good for as long as you are. But
So,
anyway,
no,
I don't
since,
know the exact the length of this thing is 72 inches.
okay,
Um, because well, I like a single cot sort of thing, so it's a cot size. I think it's about what 30 inches or so, or
but this
something
is
like
this
that
is how
wide.
we can know. What kind of mattress do you have? Do you have a twin size mattress in there?
No, no, no. I don't have any kind of mattress. I ended up having the foam mattress that was originally on this thing was a queen size bed, and
Mm.
basically what it did is I just ripped it right in half
Hmm.
and was able to use that. I'm just going to
Okay,
lie
so
down for a second. I promise I'm not.
if it is half a queen, it is 30 inches wide now.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
I
So
am the
basically,
I am the queen of beds, honey.
just to give you an idea, I'm actually lying down on it, and there's
Oh, look
there's
at that,
basically
Sherry. That is just for you, Sherry.
see there's basically where my shoulder is, and it's inside the mattress right there, and the other side is right here. Now I
Perfect.
don't have narrow shoulders, but I'm not exactly broad shouldered either. But it works out
And
really really well. I
how
I,
tall
I
are
I I
you?
have yet to actually pull the thing out to sprawl out. I mean, there may be one time that I might just pull the mattress out and think, yeah, I'm gonna, but in all of the times that I've been in this thing, I have yet to actually pull the slats out to make it bigger. This is
Yeah, yeah,
perfectly
yeah, yeah.
comfortable. Yep.
Tim says, Doug is laying down on the job.
Best way to do it.
So, since we have seen almost all of your van, there is a mandatory question that we have to ask because even if you're not a full-time nomad, you use your camper to go out on a weekend or something like
Mhm.
that. Where do you do your business? Your number one and your number two
Well, so far I've been pretty lucky in that everywhere I've gone, there's actually, you know,
bathrooms?
clubhouses, outhouses, that kind of thing. But let's face it, I'm not 20 years old anymore, so I have my Folgers special pecan. So
Perfect.
so yeah, it's big, it's wide, you can't miss it, that kind of thing.
Providing you don't get confused in the morning and you make your coffee out of that one, we are good.
No, I haven't been that asleep yet, and you know that early in the morning when you know it's not tasting right, then you know what the problem is, but probably
And
not.
Tim asks, what about number two?
Number two, I really haven't had to go in the van because
Okay.
I'm everywhere I've been to so far, I've been pretty good. When it comes time to have me go out on a camping trip where I'm going to be boondocking, I'm going to go out and buy a porta potty.
Yeah. I
One of the
you know
things
I
that I didn't
recommend.
actually show you down here, this is underneath the bed, but you could see how much space I have down here. All right. And oh, by the way, uh, my awning, my table, my chairs all fit underneath there. And I've got plenty of room for a porta potty under the bed. So if I do
Perfect.
decide I'm going to actually go boondocking, um, I'm I'm going to go. I'm just going to go buy myself a porta potty. I think they're probably one of the best things you could do.
Yes.
And you did a YouTube video on that one, Adriana,
Yes.
where you had your
I
porta potty and
really
you had the pucks there that you dropped in, just to
extend
keep things from. Yeah,
insides. Yes.
that's exactly what I'm going to do. I think that's a brilliant idea.
I will never regret having that one. As you know, I have it covered with a case, so I don't see it, but it doesn't
Hmm.
smell. It's a great thing. It's amazing.
Yeah, and I
So
definitely have the space for it. So sure,
yes,
absolutely.
uh, you will have to see how you will lock that one down onto the floor, how you will ground it, because you don't want that one to flip over either. Say,
L tracks,
uh,
L tracks.
yeah.
All I can say is L tracks.
So, and in closing, I would like to ask you, I told you, it really moved me. I chose to put the picture of your glider
Oh
there
yeah,
in the
I saw that.
thumbnail because you
Hmm.
do have a glider. And for
Yeah.
people who don't know you, Rita is in the house. Hi, Rita. She says hello from Curvin, Kentucky.
Hello.
So Rita is in the house. So for people who don't know you, you are building a plane.
Yeah.
Just, I mean, I
Well,
can
it
collect stones or coins. For a hobby, Doug builds a plane.
well, it's still a project, and I haven't been flying it. But the plane I'm building is different from the glider that you saw. Um, I've always been interested in, well, ever since I was a small child, I just loved airplanes. I mean, I can remember my first toy airplane from like when I was 4 years old, and I just got more and more addicted from there, as it were. I made a career out of it. I retired as a pilot, and I still have this immense love for flying. Um, that's a long-term project that I've been working on, and I'll eventually
Amazing.
finish it. I'll probably fly it, obviously. But in the meantime, my very first love of actual flying was in gliders. Um, I took my first glider ride when I was 13 years old. And the
And
circumstances.
you have to tell us about your determination. Remember, you shared with me what you did to get there.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, I came from an immigrant family, and my parents really weren't all that well to do. My parents worked, especially my dad. He worked so hard all of his life, and they both instilled in my brother and I what it means for hard work and really really having to push to get yourself there. And that stayed with me. Bless them for putting that in me. But basically, it was very simple. I knew very well that if I was ever going to get into an airplane of any kind, I'd have to work for it. And from about 14 years old onwards, the first year I actually started flying, I was cutting grass, I was washing cars, I was doing odd jobs around the neighborhood for the first year there. And my first year at 14 years of age, I was able to rack up 17 flights in a glider with all the money I made during the summer. And then
Wow.
the following years, I got myself a job as an apprentice in an air conditioning and refrigeration firm. And that really launched me because I was making so much more money, so I could do so much more flying. And well, it just kept on going on and on like that.
But
But
it
yeah, from
really
14 years old.
amazes me. Yeah, it really amazes me how your childhood dream turned into your career
Hmm.
and your love, your passion, your calling of
Hmm.
flying. So it to me it sounds like something that is so consistent through the years, you know? It's not a regular thing. Some people start as one thing and then they change and they go to another thing. It amazes me when someone knows since they are a kid
Oh,
that they want to fly planes.
yeah, that was me. You know what? That first glider ride I told you about, that happened almost 50 years ago. And I still get just as excited. I was out
Bye,
actually flying
Tim.
yesterday in my glider.
Tim is
Oh, is he
going.
leaving? Oh,
Yes.
okay. Cheers, brother. And it was, I still get just as excited on every flight that I take as I did when I was 13 years old. I was out flying just yesterday, in fact. I put in 3.5 hours of flying in the glider. And, I was bouncing up and down like I was 13 years old. Every time I'm out there, I feel like I'm a kid.
I love that. Thank you for sharing that story. I told you, I think it is a heartwarming story, mostly in the times we are living after COVID and all those things, when people are so angry all the time and so desperate and so many weird situations. Being able to talk with someone that has been able to live the dream he had when he was a kid, to me, that is like a love story with your goals, with your desires. And that is something so beautiful. I did mention to you that I know the story of someone that I want to mention it again on just on passing. Um, you know, I know you're from Canada, so I
Hmm.
know you probably like soccer, right?
Yeah,
Oh no, don't give me
hockey,
the.
actually.
I love
Hockey's really
soccer.
big here.
I love soccer.
Hmm.
And in November, everybody here is going to see me freaking out because I'm going to be, I mean, we have the World Cup in Qatar
Yeah.
in November,
Hmm.
and my country is a teeny little thing, but we have the most international cups in the world.
Hmm.
So far in history, we won in 26, 28, 30, 1950, 1980. We are very good.
Hmm.
We are only 3 million people, so lately we cannot compete too much with countries like Germany or the United States, where they have more resources to train their players. So they are becoming very strong competitors. But there is one soccer player in my country that became infamously famous during the last World Cup because he bit the Italian goalkeeper on the shoulder. He just bit him. What nobody knows is that they were trying to break his knee. They were kicking him to break his
Mm.
knee because he's that good. And he just came from a knee surgery and they were trying to break it again.
Yeah, jeez.
So he got furious and he bit the goalkeeper. I wish he would have just punched him. People would have forgiven that way easier. But that beast, as they have called them, he has a similar story than yours. He, well, not the nice story. It was a little sadder. Uh, the father abandoned the family when they were very young, so he had to go out and wash cars and things to help his mother.
Mm.
And he was not doing well. He was a kid with a lot of trauma. He was not doing well. In high school, he met a girl that gave him hope. And one day, uh, her parents decided to emigrate to Spain. So now his father abandoned him, and now he's a teenager, and his girlfriend is being taken away to Spain, far, far away. So he's heartbroken again, but this time he's a little older, and now he knows what he wants, and he does something similar to what you did. Determination. To me, that is the word for today. Determination.
Yeah.
Um, Out of love, which is
Mm.
beautiful. So he decided he would become the best soccer player in the world. So a team from Europe would hire him.
Mm.
So he persisted. He became an excellent soccer player. He was bought by the Netherlands, and the first vacation he had, he went to Spain to look for her, and today they are married and they have kids.
Wow. That's quite a story.
I know it's a beautiful story. So I wanted to
Mm.
close with that because whether it is out of a desire to fly a plane or to become an excellent soccer player because you want to rescue your princess, I think guys like you who have determination and are persistent, I think you are examples in this world we're living today.
Well, thank you very much. It's not just an example. It's a lifestyle. It's what's inside of you. And believe it or not, I think everybody has that. It has to
Mhm.
be cultivated in some cases, some more than others. It's not just, it's not just words. It's in what is deep inside your core that you have to concentrate on. I mean, you hear a lot of people, well, I want to do this and I want to do that, but it's a wish, but they don't have a plan, and then furthermore, they don't have any real motivation for it.
Yep.
And a lot of people, especially nowadays, we're finding that far too many, especially young people, don't realize just what kind of commitment you need in order to succeed in what you want to do. And I've been very fortunate because I had some pretty good mentors in my past when I was a kid. And then when my sons were born, I wanted to be the best mentor, obviously, because I'm their father. But not only that, I also got involved in some of their activities. We have this organization called the Royal Canadian Air Cadets here in Canada, and I was an air cadet when I was a teenager, and then I brought my boys in there, and they both really enjoyed it. And I did get involved a little bit with the air cadets as an instructor, and also just being around and helping the kids out. And they
Good.
naturally, especially when they're interested in a certain thing like aviation, for example, they look up to people that have been around for a little while. And
Mhm.
you tell them the same story. It's like, look, it's not going to be easy. You've got to really work hard on this thing. But look, if I can do it, I'm not a superstar. Really, I'm not. Um,
No, but the
I'm
key to
nowhere near a
success.
star. I mean, I'm just me. But what differentiates this me from the me that, you know, want to be me, if you will, is the hard work, the determination, the motivation,
Of
and
course,
just
of
really
course.
staying with it. I mean,
That's the
I'm
point.
certainly no genius. I mean, you were really flattering me about, my knowledge of electricity and everything like that. I wasn't born with any of that. I mean, I learned it, some of it the hard way.
But
Uh,
you were ready to learn.
oh, absolutely. Look,
Exactly.
you've got to constantly in this world, you've got to constantly look at how you're going to improve yourself. And when I told you that I was a pilot for 40 years, I mean, when I got my commercial license in the early 80s, 81, I guess. That wasn't the end of the story. It was just the very beginning of it. I mean, every time I went into a classroom to teach a systems in ground school or into the simulator or into the airplane, I had to prepare myself like I was going to war, for example,
Yeah.
and just every last little detail. And then, looking at the postmortem after that is okay, how well did I do and how much better can I do? And that
Mhm.
was every time. I mean, every single time. And and you only start to realize how much there is to improve upon when you start doing that kind of thing. And that's what I was trying to get across to all these kids that I've mentored and helped around and that kind of thing. Um, but it's nothing supernatural. It's nothing superstar-ish. Everybody has that capacity, without
But
exception.
in these days, as I said, with so much eh, sadness and anger going
Yeah,
around, it is nice to remember that as human beings, we do have a lot of power. We have power to reverse that and to become
yeah.
more optimistic and to
Oh,
help others. And I want to thank you for showing us your home on wheels. And as I said, I am going to add some photos at the end of the video for everybody to be able to see with more detail if they want. And I am very excited about having you and Tim in November together, talking about electrical. And then you can go as nerd as you both want to go, because providing you teach us what it means, what you say, we are going to be very happy with that.
oh, well, yeah. I'm looking forward to it, Adriana. And from my part, thank you very much for setting this all up together. It has been a fantastic pleasure talking to you, getting to know you. I loved your videos, and I loved you as a person. You are a very heartfelt, very, very wonderful lady, and I hope your channel, you know, just flourishes because you certainly
Someday,
have the
someday.
personality. You certainly have that you know you certainly have that wonderful personality. So, thank you
I
very much for
love,
having me
I
on.
love my community in the channel, all of you guys. You're the best people ever, and I am very proud. Every time I read your comments, I am very proud to have you there. So thank you very much, Doug, for showing us your home. This video is going to stay on YouTube, and people will benefit from this. Um, Sherry says, I will take notes in November. And she says, I am the best. Of course, Sherry, we know that,
Oh
but
yeah,
it comes
I
from you, Sherry, and you're my friend, and of course you're going to say that.
I definitely agree with Sherry.
I'll accept it because we do have to accept everything with gratitude. Kids, I love you. We call this YouTube love. That is what it is. So I YouTube love you, kids. Thank you so much, Doug, um, from the distance. You're in Canada, we're down here. Thank you, everybody, and you have a great day.
Thank you very much, Adriana. You have a great day as well.
Take care. Bye, Sherry. Bye, Rita. Bye, everybody. Take care.
Bye.